Welcome back to the Backwards History Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Will, here with my co-host, Kevin. Say hi, Kevin.
Hi, Kevin.
Shut up, Kevin.
Why'd you make me?
You don't want me to do that, Kevin.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Well, on the heels of our last episode, and in the middle of some current goings-on in Washington, D.C., we thought this was a good time to talk about the histories, plural, of political parties in the United States. The dual party system, the party system in its broader meaning.
Yeah.
But we noticed that, most people don't really understand that Republicans and Democrats have not always been Republicans and Democrats forever.
At least in name only.
Yeah, in name only.
Right.
But I guess I'll let Kevin give a little background on that.
All right. Thank you, Will. Now, to our devoted, loyal listeners, I'm sure you can recall many times we've mentioned that George Washington, if you don't know, the first American president. I sincerely hope you know that. But Will and I, he's at least my favorite president because he willingly gives up power.
We even have a little pop figure of George Washington sitting here on the desk.
Oh, yeah. Little George.
Yep, that's what we refer to him as, Little George.
But a man who could have been king or who could have served as president for life.
He would have been King George the First of the United States.
That's right. Could have set up a dynasty. Anyway.
Well, because at the time, there was no term limits for the president. That didn't come around until
he's like, you know what, 8 years is good enough for me.
Well, no. Well, yeah, he chose that, but when
FDR.
FDR.
He said he was elected to 4 terms and served 3 and started on his 4th, and then unfortunately died of cerebral hemorrhage.
Yeah, so they put in term limits for presidents after FDR.
Yeah. But anyway, George Washington, when he's giving his Exodus speech, when he's leaving, and many people understand, like, all right, this is probably George Washington's last public hurrah, He gives us 2 warnings. One was to stay out of foreign affairs.
There was 3 warnings, but only publicly really talked about 2, but I'll let Kevin go with that.
Thank you. And then the second one was to stay away from political parties. Now, in politics, up until this point, political parties is a cornerstone, essentially. And all it is just groups, cliques, getting together to assess more power in numbers and influence. And Washington understood that, political parties are going to have their own agenda. They're going to have their own goals. They're not always going to have what's best for the country and what's best for the people in mind. And he warned us, hey, no political parties. And we soundly ignored his advice. So you fast forward.
Did we? Or did those in power ignore the advice?
A fair distinction. I can imagine people sitting there when he's giving this speech and like, oh no, he's going to ruin everything. He's telling on us.
Right.
But you fast forward, political parties were a thing then, now, sadly, probably forever. Not to steal that from the WWE, but anyway.
Shut up, Kevin.
Well, we're already past that part. You fast forward, and even today, it's on display now more prominently than ever. Partisan struggles and debates, and it's really just kind of a back and forth. It's party versus party.
It's a team sport. I'm just wondering when they're going to start selling jerseys.
Right. Or start doing like NASCAR drivers and have their sponsors labeled all over their suits.
That would be a lot more helpful.
Now, those of us who are, if you've ever voted in any political election, you understand there's really only 2 choices, red or blue, Democrat, Republican. Donkey or elephant, right?
And any vote for a third party is a wasted vote. Isn't that what we normally hear?
That's what we normally hear. even though the American system, and at least in my opinion, is set up to where, independent parties, should have a fair shot. But because we've been kind of taught to vote a certain way, independent parties just, they don't really have a fair shot.
They don't have a shot at
Or
all.
a shot, yes.
Because even if you have a very prominent third-party candidate, are they ever going to be part of any of the debates? No.
I wonder why.
Mm.
Hey, we haven't bought that dude. What's he saying?
I haven't bought that dude. Very well put.
But anyway, that leads me into my next point. You have the two, polarizing symbols of the elephant and the donkey. That goes back to 1874, and you have political cartoonist Thomas Nast. He kind of immortalized it in his work. Political cartoons are kind of, I guess, the memes of their day, if you will, because people would draw these very elaborate, very humorous cartoon sketches that would be published in newspapers and whatnot. And it really kind of captures the public's kind of general sentiment towards goings on in politics. The donkey goes back to Andrew Jackson, who was the first president to serve under the Democratic banner. Air quotes on that one.
Air quotes.
Someone referred to him as a donkey, and he's like, I'm just going to kind of run with it. Incorporate it into his campaign and everything.
Did they call him a donkey or the more colorful euphemism?
A much more colorful euphemism. But anyway, he just kind of ran with it, and that symbol just kind of stuck. And then Republicans, they more or less adopted the elephant, because at that time in the military, the phrase "seeing an elephant" referred to soldiers seeing battle. So they kind of adopted that as, to be seen as more patriotic in some sense, honor, valor, that kind of thing. And then Thomas Nast just kind of immortalizes it in a political cartoon that was caught like wildfire. And all the way up till today, you have the two symbols. And then to my third and, I guess, final point, and we've alluded to this many, many times in previous episodes, and even at the start of this one, in name only, the Democrat and Republican parties, while the names have more or less stayed the same, the platforms are constantly changing. And that's because politicians are always changing their platform to appeal to more voters. Around about the early 60s, you have the civil rights movement. It really starts to take off. And that's when you really start to see a lot of change in the United States.
And if you asked a modern day individual which party was for desegregation and equal rights, they would probably tell you the Democrats.
They would.
And the people that were against it would probably say were the Republicans. They would be dead wrong. The most notable Republican against inequality between the races was none other than Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican.
Following the Civil War, the Republican Party was seen as, at least by Southerners, as the aggressors. Now, the South's plan of during the Civil War was, we're not going to attack. We're just going to kind of do our thing down here and basically come down here and make us do something different. So it was a war of northern aggression. After the Civil War, there was a lot of, I guess a delicate way to put it, there was a lot of resentment towards the Republican Party being associated with Lincoln. So for nearly a century, the South always voted Democratic, which in today's politically charged environment seems very, very different. Then you fast forward about a century or so, and you have the Civil Rights Movement, and LBJ there signs the Civil Rights Act, and next thing you know, Democrats and the Republicans, they switch to better appeal to a voter base. After the Civil Rights Act, you see the parties switch, not in name, but in policy, and which has led us more to where they are now. Now, to be fair, there's a whole lot more flip-flopping throughout the centuries in American politics. But that would take several episodes to cover. Just a lot of time to get through.
Oh yeah.
Because if one thing you can count on is politicians are never very consistent. The only thing consistent about that is how inconsistent it has been throughout history.
Like you've got a group at the air quotes the flip,
Flip.
called the Dixiecrats.
Oh, the Dixiecrats.
Individuals that left the Democratic Party at the time of the swap.
Mm-hmm.
And kept a very anti-desegregation, anti-quality mindset, but still wanted to be kind of Democrats. That's why they were Dixiecrats.
Right.
They were Southern Democrats.
It's funny because like today I saw on the news, Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders are duking it out in Iowa, I believe, and Joe Biden keeps saying, well, Bernie Sanders isn't necessarily a Democrat. He's not really a Democrat. And,
So he's really not.
Well, he's really not. You're right. But it's one of these things of now I'm attacking what you call yourself.
He calls himself a democratic socialist.
It's...
No, bro, you're just a socialist.
It's a straight up socialist, dude. But it's one of these things of, we're not talking about the issue. I'm talking about what he says he's part of the Democratic Party. But he's not. And I'm like, all right, well, let's talk about some actual issues instead of what Bernie Sanders refers to himself as.
Remember, it's a team sport now.
It's always been a team sport. But see, you still have that issue today, literally today.
Like, you can't hear my eyes rolling, but my eyes are rolling to just the statement of the fact that we're still dealing with this garbage. When, how many years ago we were warned against doing this? And we see the fruits of exactly what we were warned against. And we're still just like, okay, I'm going to play this game.
Stick my fingers in my ear. La, 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 la.
Like, I literally saw a Facebook post today of someone being proud of being a straight ticket voter. Like, I'm voting Republican on everything. Tell me I'm wrong or whatever.
Right.
I've
seen similar ones.
Why? Why does it matter whether they have an R or a D against their name? Vote for the person that will do the best job the best way possible. Granted, both parties have gone to the extreme on each side, so
way extreme.
It's gotten nuts. That's why so many people are either swapping sides or they're dead in the middle.
Oh yeah.
And like I'm dead in the middle because I'm not jumping in on either of these nutcase wagons.
It's
pitiful.
It's pitiful.
It's pitiful and it's expensive.
It's insanely expensive
for us. They're not spending their money. They're spending our money.
And they're all on stage in front of the cameras, eating up the spotlight. I'm fighting for this. I like how both sides like, I'm fighting for democracy. No, I'm fighting for democracy. And really, you're just fighting each other.
Right. Why are you fighting for democracy? We live in a republic.
Exactly. Although I have heard a few politicians refer to a constitutional republic. So at least some of them are aware of how the system's set up.
That's Rand and Ron Paul, okay?
Well, I've heard others, which
okay.
I was very pleasantly surprised.
I've always found it interesting that we have two parties labeled the Democrats and Republicans, i.e. democracy versus republic. Supposedly, big government versus small government, but they're both for big government, just in different ways.
Different way, yeah. It's enough to make the blood boil sometimes.
It's a peeing contest.
And nobody wins.
With your freedom at stake. On both sides.
It's just, how you said people vote partisan. You're not even listening to the issues. You're just, he's got the right letter in front of his name. That's who gets my vote. Right. And it's like, why? Like, you're this experiment in, American politics. You need to be informed of what you're doing, because as far as I can tell, everybody likes to complain about politics.
Me as a Second Amendment person, really irritates me when you've got the highest member of the Republican Party right now,
Mhm.
being all for red flag laws,
Oh yeah.
while the whole Republican Party is anti-red flag law, except for when Trump says something about it.
Oh yeah.
It's like, hold up, are you against it or not?
I'm not sure what you're trying to get at here. What's Can you clarify, please?
Now let me clarify. I don't mean Republican Party, because that has the implication of, members of the Republican Party, i.e., Washington D.C. I mean Republican constituents.
Voters.
Oh, exactly. All of the people who marched on Virginia.
Peacefully.
Peacefully. I'm still very proud of that. Even though their governor and government still went the opposite direction, but that's another topic for another episode. But party system, party loyalty. This is not 1984.
What is it?
Right. It's time to choose. And by choose, I don't mean red or blue. I don't mean D or R. I don't mean what team you want to support, regardless of their idiotic decisions on either side. It's time to choose. Are you an American? Or are you a party member? Are you gonna be for freedom? Are you gonna be for the Constitution? Are you gonna be for liberty for all? Or are you just gonna be liberty for those I agree with?
Right. And I completely agree. And I would urge everybody, vote, first of all. It is your civic duty. It is something, while it is a right you have, it's also a duty you have to perform. But make informed decisions. Like Will said, don't vote because it's red or blue, D or R, donkey or elephant. Vote based on the platform. Where are these people? Check their track record, first of all.
Yeah, regardless of what they say right now, look at what they've done prior. Personal experience. We live in the state of Mississippi.
In case you didn't know.
Right. Massively Republican.
Hardcore Republican.
Generally, in the Mississippi elections, I do tend to lean in the R direction.
Yeah.
However, in this last governor election, I voted Democrat. I voted for Jim Hood just because of his track record. While Jim Hood may be a member of the Democrat Party, as Attorney General, he was very pro Second Amendment.
Very.
He held up some very, very crucial decisions here in the state of Mississippi, most specifically dealing with security guards and their bar security, and their ability to open carry firearms while on duty, and basically told the county that Oxford, Mississippi sits in to shove it. That it is absolutely legal for security to open carry a firearm while in the course of their duty without a permit.
Right.
Track record. That got my vote.
Right. Because he wasn't just getting on TV and saying, I support the Second Amendment. He had a track record proving that he supports the Second Amendment.
Regardless of his party line, he showed his color in act, not word.
Right.
Granted, what he got, if he would have gotten into office, he may have towed the party line. No one can know until.
Right.
Hindsight's always 20/20 after the fact, but judge a man off of his track record rather than his word.
Because most of the time they just tell you what you want to hear.
Exactly. But straight ticket voting is just as much a disservice to the country or the state that you're in, or the city, depending on the type of election.
Right.
But it's a disservice to yourself.
Very much so.
Because you're just falling hook, line, and sinker for red or blue,
being used,
without actually doing the homework, without any knowledge of what you're actually putting down on paper. And it's time that we stop this. No vote. is a wasted vote. I don't care if you vote for Mickey Mouse if he's actually got a platform in this election.
Just write him in.
I don't know the actual stats, but there's a large number of votes for Mickey Mouse every presidential election. Please look that up. That is actual. I'm not even lying about this.
You can't make that stuff up.
But no vote is a wasted vote.
Mm-hmm.
Your vote matters.
It does.
And if enough people understood that, then maybe a third party vote's a wasted vote. It would no longer be a wasted vote. Granted, the third parties haven't given anybody worth voting for in a while because they always come out looking like kooks. But
right,
if they were given some weight,
it would force the other two sides to notice.
Exactly. It would force everyone to notice, and maybe we could change this. Right. Because right now, all we've got is two parties bickering back and forth for days on end, months on end, for years on end, on guess what?
Your budget.
Our dime.
It's just
wasting our money over petty garbage.
Nonsense. I just think back to that Simpsons episode where the aliens take over, and when it turns out that they took, like, I think Bill Clinton and the other, I can't remember who it was, but they take over, and once the people realize it's two aliens, like, well, you have to vote for one of us. It's a two-party system.
The lesser of two evils is no way to live in the freest country in the world. Air quotes.
Always.
But you know that we're just two dudes with a microphone. And we don't want you to take us as experts on anything. We don't want you to take our opinions as gold. We just want you to do your own research. And we want you to form your own opinions. And it's always trust, but verify.